Ryan Case. Oh my God. Clap it up, guys. Clap it up. Ryan Case, you have been my mentor and coach in regards to soulmates, twin flames, and spiritual guidance. I would love to pick your brain in getting to know you on a personal note as well. So yeah, I'm just so blessed and grateful that you are here and I'm interviewing you. So this is such a privilege. So thank you for being here and making the time. So how have you been? Like, what's new? What's shaking? And you said that you felt like you just hit by a bus. What's that?
Well, I mean, I went through that whole virus thing, right? So
Yes.
yeah, that was kind of a tough space to be in. I think that my whole world has like been ripped in half since the beginning of February.
Right. Is that since the ayahuasca experience that you had?
Yeah, right before ayahuasca. Right before ayahuasca, after ayahuasca, then going to help Catherine pass, and then coming back, having the virus, and then losing my job, and my tenants not having to pay rent for 6 months. Just, and then I've been in quarantine, so I haven't really been able to be around people for like the past 5 weeks, 4 weeks.
That's real serious isolation there. And you've gone through a lot since February. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
why do you think that's all happening? That's really interesting. That's some amazing.
Well, I mean, the thing is that when I did, so I've done a lot of work spiritually. I've done a lot of work emotionally for 20 something years. But I realized that even from just working with ayahuasca, that even as deep as I thought I had gone, I'd only scratched the surface. And all of the things I had thought I had healed were only still superficial.
Oh, wow.
And that the weight of who I was a 5-year-old boy locked in a closet that was waiting for someone to come rescue him. And that immediately would put me at arm's length from being able to open up on the deepest levels of interaction unknowingly. So ayahuasca, it's like when you know, like, think of it like this. Like if I was going to like splice this wire, right? Imagine I'm going to splice this wire. When I'm going to splice it, so it's completely encapsulated and safe, and it's like, but to splice it, if I wanted to splice it to another wire, I have to strip it, and I have to only see the bare cable, the copper wire, the conductor inside of it. I have to strip that away, and then I tie the two copper cables together to get a connection, and then I cover that up with insulation. So I was trying to tie two cables together in any situation, not understanding that, well, I've got this, but there's no connection.
Right.
There's connection with the insulation. So my insulation was connecting. So isolation for me actually has been, this 4 weeks of isolation has been much more difficult than the past 20 years of isolation. Because I brought to this quarantine, the reality and the truth that the last 20 years I was in quarantine as well.
Oh my goodness.
So the rationalization that most of the most tiny, like you don't think, like if you want a cough drop, you want this cough drop, you don't think about the paper that's wrapping it up, right?
Yeah.
You think, I need that cough drop. So experience would be the cough drop, but there's this fine level of paper in the presentation of that experience that we don't register. So when I look at this, then now from my perspective that I see in life, that there was that little piece of paper around every cough drop that I would have been unwrapping. And so there was a little piece of me that would get unwrapped, but not enough of me to actually allow me to know that there was still a problem. So it was like a drip. It'd be like if your faucet was dripping, you wouldn't know that your water bill was going to be like the same thing as if you had a broken pipe in the ground, right? So this trickle of what we tell ourselves, these little lies that we let stay alive inside of ourselves, limited me. And it limited everything about love. It limited everything about how I looked at life. And ayahuasca removed all of it.
Yes.
So then when I went to help Catherine, I was a bare, unbruised, beautiful soul at the perfect time to help someone to transition from this life to the next. But unknowingly, I didn't know how much that would impact me and how I would feel about that. Prior to ayahuasca, I would have gone into it differently. But now when I go into it, it's much more in depth.
Yes. Wow. That's lots of deep, scary events that you've been experiencing since. It's kind of like a whirlwind.
Imagine if you were 2 miles off the coast and it was at night and your boat started to sink and you had to swim to shore. There'd be a lot of things that you would think on your way there, but you would just know that you want to get to shore. Yeah. You'd swim faster. Thinking, you might think, well, there's a shark in here, and there probably is a shark in there, and there's probably a shark that's swimming underneath you at that same time. But really, thinking about the shark doesn't get you to shore any faster. So, well, in fact, it actually could, because it could give you the energy to swim faster. But the idea is that so many of us are in the dark in a boat waiting for some wake-up call that will be magic, that registers that the awakening or the ascension that we've walked into is actually working.
Right. Oh my goodness.
So.
Oh wow. So, what's her name? Catherine? Did you say?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You were very close with her in the personal note.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow. And she's a yogi, from my.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh wow. And yeah. So I was following your social media on how you are giving her so much love and support and encouragement. It was unconditional love there from spirit. And yeah, it was just moving, just watching every post that you post out. Was like, oh my God, I just want to send this girl and you so much love and gratitude that you have this such braveness and courage and strength to actually share the journey right through to the end, where she transformed into a beautiful butterfly, which she already is, but now she's a spiritual butterfly. I just can't imagine how I would feel or how I would react if I lost a close friend like that. But just to watch you and see how you actually responded, and just unwavering, undying love for her, I felt so honored and grateful to actually witness that. So I really thank you for that, for you to share that to all of your audience, because that's such a great gift for everyone, just to come from a heart space and live from that moment. Just be grateful and to be blessed that you have that connection, that soul connection with just one person and every other person as well. But just to carry forward that with love and come from a heart space. I feel like all this social distancing and isolation, you posted those videos out, and it came out at such a good time where everyone should come in unity instead. So yeah, so I just felt like you're so brave to do that. I'm just so grateful that you shared that. So thank you.
Well, I mean,
do that.
Isolation is interesting because we're also isolated as it is, we've allowed this illusion of connection to kind of keep us occupied.
Yeah.
But with a tremendous level of fear about, I would say, being alone. I haven't met many people that have actually even sat with the ideas that are going on right now deeply. I think that most people are still distracting themselves and denying what's going on with isolation. Exactly. But where we are, and even just looking at it from the virus standpoint, You know, we've sacrificed so much at different times in history as a human culture that I really think that what we're going to face right now, I don't know that we are really understanding of it. And it's interesting that it's affecting the generations that gave everything already, right? And then I feel sad because everybody is concerned about them finally. I
Yes.
mean, and working in the healthcare field, I saw so many neglected elderly people that no one, but now they matter, right? And we live in a society where it's that go to God moment where it's always, we only go to God when there's something when we need something, right? When we need to be cushioned or coddled, or we need that support. We need that extraneous courage outside of ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think that what we're finding now, and you know, even like just losing someone during this time, I think is a perfect time. If you're going to lose someone, now is the best time to lose them because they're going to occupy your soul space. You're not going to be able to deny losing them. You're not going to be able to run away from them not being there. You're not going to be able to minimize the fact that the impact that they're not physically in your life right now. So I think it's a good thing for people to look at. I think that where we're right now, what is there? There's that, what is that? Who said that phrase that where death said something, what was it? Life said to death, or it's a phrase, I forget the exact way it goes, but basically life told death, it said, you're so, no, death goes, you know, everybody's scared of me and everybody loves you. And then life took the death and he goes, yes, but everyone thinks I'm beautiful, but I'm a lie. And you're scary, but you're the truth.
Wow. Is that okay? And there's actually a quote.
Quote. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure exactly where it is, but it's a quote. It's a story, like a parable. And it's basically life is saying that I'm an illusion and death is the reality. And, you know, even like looking at our mortality, and then everyone rising up, and just, it just shows you that we're still also disconnected, even though we think we're plugged in, even though there's so many people doing workouts and all kinds of like helpful videos. It's still like even these celebrities, like it's like it's still a disconnect. It's still not deep enough because we're not understanding what's really shifting. And we're not looking at the volume of information that's coming in. It's too much. It's like too heavy for us, I think. So we're trying to distract ourselves. Even in isolation, we're finding distractions.
Yeah.
And I think that for me, I had no ability I had no energy to distract myself. I just fell into it face forward and like landed on the ground
Wow.
and ended that. There was no running from it.
No. It's like you
You
can't
know?
run away from your dark shadows. It's always going to be there. Like your dark night.
Well, and then think of it like this too. It's not about just the darkness, because like death is the truth and life is a beautiful lie in some ways. However, when we look at it from the concept that all of us have been thinking, you know, like shadow work, dark night of the soul, all these things, this is the given, right? That's the given. Like when they say a gimme, that's the gimme, right? The gimme is that you're going to have a dark night. The gimme is you're going to have darkness and shadows. But the real awakening is that when you acknowledge, yes, I live in duality. Yes, I do bad things. I do good things, and you know, no one's perfect. But divinity is understanding duality, but doing something about it by being bigger than duality.
Yeah. Wow.
Like going beyond it, being bigger than it. You have a conscious decision. And granted, all decisions are made. Like it'd be like if we tried to shut our mind off right now for 20 seconds, we can't do it. So all decisions are predisposed based on our own kind of like position in life.
Yeah.
But maybe we can wrangle those emotions and wrangle those thoughts into being able to at least perpetuate a higher resolve than just excusing everything and punishing everything and finding a place. Like it's like we want to we either want it or we don't want it. But we're missing, there's something beyond that. I don't know what it is, but there's something beyond that desire.
Would that be singularity or some sort of like a individual desire in their spiritual growth?
Well, so to want an individual spiritual experience to expand oneself is singularity and separation, because you're seeking self-sustaining issues. So the idea that we're seeing, like the planet, so the planet isn't healing in a singularity, the planet's healing completely, right? So how did the planet heal? The virus had to be shut down, right? So the human virus had to be quarantined for the planet to heal, but the planet healed all at once. So the secret to healing is that to understand that it's an all at once kind of thing. It's a shift. It's a shift in perception. It's a shift in direction. And even like Catherine, her spirit, she came to me and she was sharing with me. She said the cancer wasn't. She goes, it wasn't about curing cancer. It was about understanding that cancer was my medicine. She said the cancer is what gave my grievances meaning. She said the cancer is what gave my inability to see my beautiful self meaning. She said it was the result. She said the cancer came in so willingly to show me truth. And she said I'd lived erroneous to that truth for so long and suppressed so much that all of these things that were misaligned in my body had to take the cancer, because that was the only way they could find refuge. That was the only way that they could find some kind of solution to this distraction and this solitude. So in a way, cancer actually was medicine for her. It healed her. It didn't allow her to continue this physical form, but it healed who she was, and it healed everyone around her. So while everybody was in the course of praying for a miracle, we didn't realize that a miracle was actually underway right under our feet. And that miracle was the fact that cancer was healing her. It was healing her heart. It was healing how she saw the world. It was healing how we saw the world. It was healing how we all interact. And I think it's that core level of healing that we have to be able to embrace darkness as light. Otherwise, it's still just this kind of bipolar bout of somebody with ADD trying to make a decision and just can't do it.
That just gets too complex, which leads me on to my next topic that I wanted to talk to you about. Can you share with us your new revelation on how you discovered Mama Gaia?
For ayahuasca.
Yes. So you believe now that God is a woman, and that's just not a woman, but a feminine divine, and she's darkness. Like, tell us about that. That's just so profounding. I'm still wrapping my head around that, because that's so huge, unheard of.
Well, when I had my near-death experience and I walked with Jesus for a good portion of time, one of the things that he told me, which made more sense as I went forward, he said, I didn't come here to build a building nor write a book. He said, and then he goes, how about this for an Easter egg? He said, Mary didn't need a man. And I was like, what? And he goes, yeah, Mary didn't need a man. She made a God. She didn't need a man. So Mary made a man without a man. So what does that mean? Where would you put that base root? Where would the base root of that equation come from? So he was basically saying at that time that God is has a much more of a feminine quality than a masculine quality. He even said that if God had a masculine quality, we would have been destroyed already. So, because men rise and fall countries, God is the one that's actually healing everything. So, based on that information, I think that I always believed that God was more of a feminine spirit. I think that, I've always viewed that. And I think that because I understand the masculine so much, and I think that the true matriarchal society has always been kind of, in the past, one that supports the greatest abundance for the human species. And then when I went into ayahuasca, I went into it with intention and diet and I went into ayahuasca understanding that she or the I call it, it's two segments. Mama Aya, which would be the vine, she comes to you as a woman. Even Terence McKenna talked about that. But she showed me that she was actually also Pachamama or Gaia, but not just of the earth, but of all things. She said that when she took me back to the birth of the universe, she told me that I had so much love inside of myself, just like any mother. I gave birth. And when I gave birth to the stars, I became the darkness that supported them. So it's like the mothers become the unseen force of the hand that guides the child, and the child becomes their extension into reality, and the child becomes everything. And they witness that child's growth, and they celebrate it with this just compassion and heartfelt energy that it can't be. I mean, no man has never known that, right? So, and I think that that's one of the reasons why I saw ayahuasca or the God as a feminine, because, well, if God was masculine and I saw it that way, I would just be terrified. Just be terrified.
So would you say the Bible, the man-made Bible, would that still be a valid belief to some or most still to this day? If they heard,
I guess if anybody wants to believe in a book rather than actually dive deep in themselves, I always looked at it like this. It's like when you buy something on TV, or when you order something on, if you order clothes on Amazon and you get them and you're like, God damn it. So that's like too small. I should have read the description better.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, the Bible has its moments. It has its point. I think that obviously it was written by a group of men for a group of men to lead a group of men and to push down a group of women. It was never designed to uplift any kind of solidarity amongst the sexes nor the races. And I think that what we're witnessing in the world around us is a direct result of that superiority complex that came from a man believing that he was God. And I think that those days are numbered regardless, no matter what we face at this moment, whether it's 100 years from now or not. The mother is the energy of everything, and she needs her space. She needs it back. So Yeshua didn't heal. When I saw Yeshua on the other side of my near death, he didn't heal from a masculine space. He couldn't heal from the masculine. He had to pull in the divine feminine to heal, because he said that he goes, I have to look at someone and not see potential, but see passion. He said, when I look at a soul that's sick, I don't want to see them from the perspective of, I need to fix them. He goes, I need to find them. I need to dwell within their heart, and I need to hold who their heart is, and to give them the ability to love that which is within them with this completeness. And he said that a man really struggles in these kind of practices. So if I were to rely on my masculinity to do this, I would be trying to put them in some kind of situation where trying to resolve everything from a mental state of making a list or trying to work it out. And that just doesn't carry weight in the spirit world.
No, because I mean, based from a third dimension point of view or level, most men in a couple would rather just throw the woman the solution. And it's like, no, the woman needs to be heard first. They need to be, you know, express their feelings and hurts or whatever emotions that's been bottling up. She needs to express that as part of self-expression. And for the masculine side, just to throw her, okay, here's the solution, let's move on. It doesn't work that way. So I get what you're saying there when it comes to the masculine and feminine energy, that needs to be balanced out. It's all about timing as well, divine timing. And I feel like, yeah, the masculine energy, I feel that it's just so, like you say, it's heavy weighted. The female, the feminine is a lot more lightweighted. It's a lot more nurturing. It's about creating and giving.
Right.
Masculinity is more about taking and not regenerating.
Well, I mean, it's like I always said that So the feminine represents flexibility, fortitude, completion, and compassion, and support and nourishment, where the masculine represents provisions, providing, protecting, protocols on judgment, and being open and aware. And this is why I think that the sun is a masculine entity and the moon is a feminine entity, because the man is pretty much, there's not a lot to discover about a man, but the feminine is very deep, and like the night with the moon is got a lot of layers that are invisible. And unless you're willing to venture out into the dark, into the unknown, and to feel your way through it, where a masculine in a light form, like the sun, you can pretty much look and see every single thing. But that's why also men are misleading in a lot of ways, because when you look and see it, you're like, then you create your own kind of resolve. Right? There's no imagination necessary to see the man. But when you see the woman, there's a lot of imagination. There's a lot of deeper connections that happen. And if you think of, even with the moon is the reflection of the sun. So that would make the woman as the direct reflection of the man, but the truth of the man. Right? So, and she uses that truth of the man to actually light up her own mysteries. And that would be how I think that the balance should roll out. But there's none of that in the Bible, which is sad. I do think that some of that is missing. Even Yeshua or Jesus told me another story of confirmation. A little Easter egg was the story of Samson and Delilah. I think I told you that before. Samson and Delilah, where Samson had long hair, and Delilah came in and she asked him what his strength was, and then he said it was my hair, and she had his hair cut, and he became weak, and they overpowered his people. It's a parable based on him and his femininity, and being comfortable with the mother, being comfortable with his hair. It represented his connection with the feminine spirit, and only the woman could come in and sever that connection, not a man. So the men corrupted the woman to come in and to be an illusion and steal that connection he had with the mother. And as he became out of that, he separated himself from that knowledge, and he became weak. But then he went back to a state of isolation, and he found the mother again. His hair grew and his strength came back, which was symbolic of him returning to that great Gaia.
Right.
And we miss these Easter eggs because we're trying to look at the world through a keyhole.
Pretty much. And there's so many
Right?
misinterpretation, misunderstanding, and so much to learn, and so much.
I wouldn't even say it's missed. I would just say it just doesn't. People aren't even trying to understand. And it's not even that you missed it. There's nobody's actually even trying to understand.
Well, for those who don't find it too scary to dive into it and just to discover like who they are, like where they are, can you share us about how Mama Gaia she gave up her light to become the darkness for us, so that we could shine? That's very interesting.
Well, how she showed me. So when I did ayahuasca, I traveled like thousands of years into the past, millions of years, in fact, and then 1,000 years into the future. And the way that, so when I asked her, I said, well, where do you come from? And she said, I come from love. And I said, well, how can you come from love? She said, well, my first thought was light. And she said, because I was in a place of complete, just unlimited limbo. She said, I was just in this space. Like she said, it's like sitting, watching the ocean at night. I was just sitting there watching this wonderful landscape without any life. Imagine if there's no moon, no stars, and you're looking at the ocean and you can hear it, but you can't see it. So she said, in my heart, I could hear all of this love, but I couldn't see it. And she said, so I was like, well, how? And she said, I thought to myself, all of this love that's inside of me, how could I see it? Because I wanted to be free. I don't want to hold on to it. I want to share it, because this love is just, so she said that she exploded, and then she surrendered all of the light that was within her. So she was enshrouded with this this kind of unlimited infinite covering that would have been like the ocean at night. But within that was like a womb, and when it exploded, it became light. Because love actually was a feeling that became functional as light the moment she let it go.
Oh, wow.
So her concept of love existed in infinity, which was the great nothing. It was this emptiness of space and time. But when she released that immense amount of love that she had just sitting there in peace, all of that love and peace became parts of the universe. And she said that she knew in order for that love to continue to burn and continue to become bright and continue to this cycle of how she saw love would expand and contract, she said, I had to support it from this place of darkness. So I gave all of my life so that you could live, which is what most mothers do. And I saw this, like, it looked like a veil being ripped open, and all of these, it was like when in the scene in Ghostbusters when the containment unit fails. It's like just like all of this light, like a light show coming from nothing.
Wow.
Yeah. It'd be like being in a desensitization tank where it's completely black, no sound, nothing going on, and all of a sudden lighting a sparkler. That sparkler would light up the whole room. It would light up a warehouse that was pitch black.
So would you consider her as the universe then? Well,
I would consider the universe as her.
Yeah.
She's not the universe, but the universe is her.
Well said.
So she is something beyond the universe, and what she is a concept. She was a concept that existed as consciousness, but that consciousness was on itself. So just like if we're sitting there looking at something and we have 1,000 thoughts go through our mind and we can't regulate them, she was that way as well. So it wasn't that she was trying to regulate it. It's just she had all of these thoughts, and all of those thoughts she wanted to become things. So she wanted to expand her experience. And by doing so, she surrendered her whole entire life. And then she began the birthing process. And then that's why she allowed the feminine to have so much connection with herself to become that same source of creation.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my goodness. What a revelation. So moving on to this whole virus. What would you see this all happening for a particular reason? Like everything doesn't happen by chance or coincidence. Do you feel like Mother Earth is taking back her power now and cleansing?
I would say Mother Earth is taking advantage of the fact that we surrendered our power. Wow. We surrendered our power to stupidity and laziness and self-seeking servitude to a structure inside of our own self. We succumbed to duality as our God rather than understanding that duality is just an aspect of our consciousness. So Mother Gaia, or the planet, she's just actually sees potential, and she sees an open door, and she's just enjoying it, right? So that's why the world doesn't really keep a catalog of right and wrongs done by us. She's happy when we're not here. She wouldn't even care if we weren't here. So it's not like she wasn't waiting for us to leave. Right. She's just always ready, right? She's always ready to respond and to be loved, like any good parent or child would be. She's just ready for love, and she had not been receiving love. So like any woman in a relationship that is dead end and she's not being seen by her man, such as the Mother Earth, right? The Mother Earth was in a domestic violence situation, and she was being beaten and living a life disconnected from love and not being seen as her beautiful self. So I would say that where we're at right now, we are in a sense almost equivalent of a participant in a domestic violence situation where we were actually abusing the earth.
Yes.
We were abusing our mother, our wife. We were abusing our feminine. And we brought this on ourselves, whether it was man-made or not. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, like I saw a stream, and I added a comment, which I rarely don't. And it was like saying Bill Gates is this horrible person. And and then I added into it, well, what do you think we should do? And they said, well, because he's a billionaire and he's this and that. And I said, well, how do you think he got all of his money? Maybe we should all stop buying Microsoft products and throw all of our computers away.
Yeah.
Isn't that I mean, but yet we're all doing these empty actions still. So we're all still living in this limbo of denial. And so it really hasn't hit us yet. So what we're seeing right now is just the peak. This is just like the tip of the iceberg.
Yes.
I mean, we need something much greater than this to take this seriously.
Wow.
We haven't taken life seriously yet. I mean, we've been given a gift to sit back, and I think most people, they're relishing the time off because everyone was really wanting too much. Everyone was pushing too hard. Everyone was living a life outside of the beauty that already existed, and they were living for tomorrow, and they were not really here. So what we're seeing is a huge repercussion of that event. And I don't know, I think it could get worse.
Oh, wow.
It's not that the virus is going to get worse necessarily. The confinement's going to get worse. And when that confinement gets worse and when confinement extends, then people are going to have to really ask themselves, what am I made of? Why am I here? But as it stands, I mean, protesting online or tweeting, that's just like ballsless. I mean, it's like, it is. I mean, it's like, oh, well, let me sign a petition. No, you should get 2 million people and go sit on the lawn at the Capitol. That's how you make a change. You don't make a change by tweeting. What's wrong with people? I mean, really.
Ballless, like you just said.
Well, it's even like people are complaining about 5G, but are they going to get rid of their phone?
Understand that 5G really, it doesn't make sense. But how?
Well, I know 5G didn't make me sick. A virus made me sick. It wasn't 5G because I'm getting better. If 5G didn't go anywhere, I wouldn't get better.
Yes, some people's opinions and thoughts I just do not. I don't know. I can't understand it, even though I try. How would the world change once this all gets settled? What do you think?
Well, how will the world change? Well, hopefully the world won't change much. Hopefully we will.
Yeah, precisely.
I mean, the world is changing around us. I just think it's poetic to see that the planet is healed so quickly and we have not yet healed.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow. Wow. I'm glad you actually
the
said
planet.
that.
I mean, like I said, 25 years of work to get to where I thought I was, and then one night with a plant had more weight than 25 years of all the work I had done.
A plant?
A plant. A vine. A few nights with a vine had more weight and work than 25 years of my own mental capacity.
Oh, wow.
So I think we severely undersell our connections, and I think that I don't know. And again, you know, it's like we're all the people that we're worried about right now dying from coronavirus. They didn't matter before coronavirus, and it's just sad because everybody shifts their consciousness in a way that keeps them captivated and keeps them motivated outside of themselves still, but they really won't ask themselves the hard questions.
No, many don't.
I mean,
too confronting. It's too real.
Yeah. I mean, and then we wonder why we're not happy.
No.
We're not really even here. Nobody is actually, I'd say 80% of the people really aren't even here.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's quite high.
They're like filler. It's like they're not even here because, I mean, if you're not present, if you're getting sidetracked by a conspiracy theory, but yet you understand that the greatest conspiracy is the fact that I chose to eat like shit. I chose to live a life that wasn't supportive of my health. I didn't take the time I needed. Me being off for the past 4 weeks is so relaxing. Why did I not do this before? Why did I not put the things that are important to me as a priority? Why did I not live that way? And that's the first conspiracy.
Mm.
But see, but because people still don't want to go to that truth, it's scary.
Yeah.
They want to go to somebody that can do it. Everybody wants to be Neo, and they want to make the choice. Give me the red pill or the blue pill, and then everything will be perfect. But the whole thing with Neo is when he got that pill, he was like, holy shit, I don't know that I wanted that.
Yeah.
That's when the work starts. So people want everybody else to do the work for them. I mean, even 5G people, they can burn a tower, but isn't it much more? Wouldn't it be, you burn a 5G tower, that's got a lot of weight. I think it'd have more weight if everybody burned their phone.
Yeah.
No, seriously. How many people spend over $1,000 on their phone? They weren't worried about 5G then.
No.
Nobody's worried. Everybody's worried about how the new iPhone takes pictures. They're not worried about Bill Gates. They're not worried about Steve Jobs. Where was the conspiracy theory when they were charging their cell phone and paying $110 a month because they can't afford it?
Oh my God, is that how much it costs? I don't know.
Well, it's $1,500. They charge you for it, right?
All right.
But I'm just saying. I mean, it's like everyone's worried about like this oppressive government, but yet we just line up and take it right in the rump.
Yeah, I just find it so fascinating how people just miss the bigger picture, and they just they put so much focus and emphasis and energy on the small pettiness. It does not ever make sense. That's
well, I mean, I would think that I wish they would take that the ability to focus on small things onto themselves.
Yeah. That's a start.
I mean, like, I mean, it's just if you can look at the world and how the world is healed so rapidly, then we have the potential to do the same. We just don't want to.
No.
I mean, how many? It's like this perfect thing. Like I heard Jason Silva say. He goes, "My question to most people is, so all the things you said you wanted to do, you wanted to start a YouTube channel, you wanted to write a book, you wanted to learn yoga, you wanted to do this, you wanted to do that. How many of you have done it? Because you haven't done anything for the past 4 weeks. Everybody's been home. So who's done what they said they couldn't do because they were too busy?"
Wow.
Right? And the fact is probably 70% of the people haven't done shit. All they've done is order pizza and watch Netflix.
Uber Eats.
And then we get angry, and then the funny thing is, I'm going to get angry at Bill Gates, but wait, hold on, let me pick up my phone, and I'm going to text him with the phone that he made that I paid $1,000 to Bill Gates for that technology to use. I mean, it's ludicrous. If we could watch this in the movie, we'd have already known the plot, and we would have been like, this movie sucks.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like we could have if this was a movie, if the world right now was a movie, I would have already figured out the end, and I would have been like, I'm done. I'm bored. Is there anything else on?
Yeah. There's no twist.
I mean, it's hilarious. I mean, so we're either going to end up as a couple different ways. We're either going to end up like Castaway, or we're going to end up like Hunger Games, or maybe we can hold on to things and we'll end up like with Walking Dead. I mean, it's like everybody's obsessed with The Walking Dead. Of course they're going to go straight to a conspiracy theory. #1 show in the world, Walking Dead. Of course people are going to go to this.
Is it? Oh gosh, I don't watch anything, but the world now has turned into I Am Legend, that Will Smith movie. That's how scary it is now.
Yeah.
This isolation.
But it's just weird. It doesn't have to be. But it doesn't have to be.
No. I honestly, I go about my day like as if nothing's changed. Like I just live my life because life is already too short. I cherish and relish every moment and every breath I take. So I'm thinking, why is people like, stand back, you're meant to be 1.5 minutes? Like, okay. You actually have that ego and that energy to pull down your mask to yell at me. Wow. All I could say was, wow. I don't understand.
Well,
hat, sunglasses, a silhouette, full on.
Well, I mean, the fact of is that everybody's so concerned about COVID, but they sure weren't concerned about people drinking and driving. They sure weren't concerned about like smoking.
Yep.
Smoking has killed more people than any virus ever has in the world.
My God, was it driving?
So it's like, but I'm just saying, like, and how long did it take us to figure out secondhand smoke was worse than firsthand smoke?
Exactly. How long? Oh gosh.
Years. So, but we live in this oblivious state. As long as it doesn't bother us, we're good with it. Like, oh, well, what do you mean? Bill Gates did a chip that's inside of my phone? Ah. Yeah, but you know, and I understand. I mean, I understand that the psyche of even like when you look at like maybe looking at God from a feminine spirit. If God was a woman, what would we be doing right now?
Oh, about creation and creating and love and nurturing.
Well, I mean, if we had leaders that were in place right now that were women, I think we'd be handling COVID a lot differently.
Oh yeah, completely different.
Number one, we would have already been. I mean, if women were leaders, the forgotten class of people, the elderly, wouldn't have been at such arm's length to be sick and lost in their homes already. And then I think if women were to really run the country, probably, but it's the same thing. And I digress. It's a everybody has like a touchy subject on it, but everybody wants to go after people for all kinds of political standpoints. But I think at the end of the day, we have to ask ourselves, well, what have I done to contribute? And if I didn't do anything to contribute, what didn't I do that contributed?
Mm.
You know, like if I didn't, like, I can go and recycle my trash and I can do these other things, but is there a part of me that, what didn't I do? Unless I live off the grid and I'm using solar, water catchment, planting my own food, schooling and doing these things, unless I'm doing that, I'm part of the system. And if I'm part of the system, I can't really get upset because the system isn't going the way that I think it should, because I'm part of the system that supports itself. So the same thing, like I'm going to get angry at 5G towers, but I'm going to continue to use my phone. So I'd rather go and protest and burn down these towers, or would I rather actually look at from the, what can I can control? I can't control a 5G tower, but I can control my phone.
Yes.
Maybe everybody should get rid of their smartphone. Maybe instead of like, if you want to cripple Bill Gates so he doesn't give a vaccine, maybe throw all of the PCs away. Maybe everyone should throw their laptop away. Will they do it?
Well, it's like they're all
No.
clinging on to some sort of faith or hope that they have, that they are kind of completely unaware of what's the real big problem here.
But the world isn't going to be the same. It's not going back.
No, not at all.
This is, I mean, it's not going to be normal again.
No.
What we've seen happen in our course of our lifetime is the most, what we've seen right now is I would say compares to World War I or World War II.
Yes?
Not from the loss of life, but the loss of our perception of our place in the world.
Yeah. Mm.
You know, it's like taking our virginity. We're never going to be the same again. And a lot of people are hanging on to, well, just 2 more weeks, just 1 more week, just 8 more days. And the thing is that it's never going to be the same. And they don't realize that.
No.
I mean, I predict that the United States will be in at least 7 sectors. In each sector, you'll have to have a COVID clearance in order to travel from one sector to another. I think you'll have to have a COVID clearance to travel internationally. And then most international travel that's non-essential will not happen. And that will go on for the next year. And then vaccine, well, I mean, like, I know that even as a healthcare provider in California, they would mandate that I have to get a vaccine. So then I have to think about that. But, you know, at the end of the day, let's say the vaccine is dangerous and is going to kill me. It's going to shorten my life by 10 years. Well, what's important to me in that sense is getting the vaccine, or is traveling and being able to be free and go about my life and business and enjoy some of the things in the world cautiously with a different perspective, understanding that each day will be precious in my remaining few. Probably I would just get the vaccine and just go. You know, because at this point, I think the only thing that I can say, everything else in life is pretty meaningless besides love and experience.
Yeah. That's so true.
I mean, big cars, big houses, all those things are going to, you're not taking them with you. So I would say that as a people, we should invest heavily in what we can take with us.
Nicely put.
Which is the only thing we can take with us is love.
Love.
Those
Forgiveness.
last few seconds laying in your bed or before your life flashes before your eyes, the only thing that you're going to be with is love.
Yeah.
That's it. You know, and what a better space than to not be afraid of death any longer and to live life, but to actually live it.
Yeah.
Not to live today as if I do everything right today, then tomorrow I get to take tomorrow off and this weekend's going to be great. Like, I mean, everybody was living for the weekend. Everybody was living for the next vacation. Everybody was living for that car payment or living for that next purchase. Everybody was living for these things. And we wonder why we're here. That's
short-lived style, isn't it?
Well, it's not even living at all. It's not even short. It's actually it's oblivious to how deep you really are. It's not, you know what it is? It's like, I imagine a teacher probably feels the same when she sees like a shy kid. Like, imagine you're like a 5th grade teacher and you have a shy kid that sits kind of in the back of the class and they're really smart and they have this great potential, but they just don't see it. So you have to think, well, how can I help that child see their potential and really accelerate? How can I teach them in a way that will bring that out of them that I see, that their parents see? How can I move that? So I like to think of it like society right now is that kid in 5th grade that's looking down at the paper, like I used to be in 5th grade, that's insecure, that feels connected, but is scared to love, scared to accelerate, scared to raise your hand to ask a question, scared to even get up and go to the bathroom. Right? But if you,
Ryan, this is scary.
Right? So if you think about it, what we're really doing is we're asking ourselves, what can we do to facilitate that inner child to awaken, to be in alignment, and to walk the rest of our days in that love, in that vein of thought? Where you're not just eating healthy because you want abs, you're eating healthy because you want to live a long life.
Yeah.
Where you're not just showing up at the beach to take a selfie of your best bikini. You're showing up at the beach because, wow, I haven't been able to get to this beach. Look what mama made. Right? And even like when you get to go around your friends and to celebrate and to go dancing or whatever it is, it has nothing to do with like what you're wearing. It's just that, I mean, you could be wearing canvas bags. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? It's about the beauty of interaction.
Yes. Love that.
So I think that's important. I think that we have to get to those base levels again. And I believe that the potential exists, but I don't believe as long as we're focused on finding someone to pay for all of these things when we really are the ones that invested and we're the ones to blame. See, we want to find that rich family that we can focus all of our hatred on. We want to find that top 1% and hold them accountable. And we need somebody to do it because we aren't going to do it ourselves. But we want a group to come up, to rescue us, to roll up in there and to teach them a lesson.
Yeah.
But the truth is, they didn't get to be there. We gave them the ability to be there.
Yes.
I mean, 300 million people in the US alone, I'd say 300 million people have a lot more sway than someone with $300 million. But but unity is so far from where we're at right now. We don't understand. 7 billion people, out of the 7 billion people on the planet, maybe 100,000 have all the money, but we're 7 billion people.
Yeah.
It's like ants overtaking a grasshopper. Even an army of ants is much stronger than a grasshopper if they move in unison. And I'm not promoting like a revolution or something like that, but what I'm saying is that if we were beginning to understand, right now we're in that denial phase, we're thinking that our tweets make a difference, but it's not that doesn't make any difference. Right. What makes a difference is, what are we going to do? Like when this is starting to kind of hash out, we see where we're at. What are we going to do about it? Are we going to sit on our ass and wait for someone to say it'll be all right? Or are we going to put our phone down and go knock on the door next door and say, hey, how is it going? You know, and start, I mean, or you say, hey, you know what? We're going to set a meetup and we're going to do the meetup, and then everybody shut your phone off. We got 150 people here. What are we doing?
Yeah.
So, I mean, until we go back to real life, it's never, the reality is never going to be what we really want.
No, that's what I thought too. So moving on to my next question, if you don't mind. What's your story with Hanuman? I mean, I feel like Hanuman has been with me all my life. I just did not recognize it until one of my meditation teacher told me that ask him if he's Hanuman. I was going to ask you about that tattoo. Like, what brought you to have a tattoo of him on your arm?
Well, I mean, I've lived a lot of lives, and I think that the most beautiful part of the lives that I've ever lived, where I felt the most connected, it was about learning to be able to surrender my own selfish desires to serve in a place not to be seen, but because I saw.
Yeah.
And I think that that's why I always go back to that: when I don't see you, I serve you. When I see you, I am you. And I think that Hanuman in many ways is the kind of a pre-thought to even the story of Jesus, right? Because there's a lot of things about Hanuman that were mischievous. I mean, there's stories of Jesus that were even that said that Jesus accidentally killed a child when he was like 8, and he raised him from the dead at 8 years old because he did it by accident. And he was like, "I'm so sorry." Yeah, there's a Gnostic version that talks about that. It's kind of funny. But so Hanuman represents that part of us that's all that really has the child inside, the unfiltered child. And the unfiltered child is one that finds fascination just in the fury of life, right? Where you're just caught up in it, and you just like, it's like you go to that line and you cross over it and you laugh about it and you love it. But Hanuman, even like when you look at even the Monkey King in Chinese mythology, right? They're very similar. Buddha locked him in a mountain, an iron mountain, and to show him humility. And then, you know, and then humility isn't something we're born with. It has to be something we become. And the only way that we become that is we begin to see people as an extension of ourselves. And that's why I love the fact that his staff was, it could extend like 30,000 feet, right? It's like, it was like started this big, but it can extend. And it was like his heart. It was like who he was, had the power to extend limitlessly.
Yeah.
And he had that ability, like he could like jump 30,000 feet. So it's like, so a lot of who he was, all these supernatural characteristics that he brought forward, when you put them into the pocket of a person, that pitter patter in your heart that you get when someone helps you, that is Hanuman leaping 30,000 feet.
Oh,
When
wow.
you reach out your arm to make a difference, right? When you go out of your way, that is Hanuman's staff going from this big all the way out, showing you the way, right? So Hanuman brings this high level of humility through not putting your head down and feeling, I learned a lesson, but from putting your head up and your heart out. That's why there's the statue of him ripping his heart open. He's saying, I will give you everything, even my own heart. I'll give you the heart out of my chest. And he didn't ask for anything. So humility doesn't come from being told that you need to be humble, right? That's not humility. Humility doesn't come by recognition of that you weren't doing it. Humility comes by recognition that no one needed to tell you and you found it anyway.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at Hanuman, and I identify with that, because even like ayahuasca, I mean, Mama Aya humbled me in so many ways, but in such a beautiful way. How we worked together in that one journey. She took everything that I had thought I was, and she just slowly squeezed it out of me. And she said, "Do you see?"
Wow.
She said, and like she told me, she said, there was this one point. So, and I dealt with this also with the virus. Everything is predisposed. Everything is kind of perpendicular to the next occurrence, right? It's always there. It's always set up for that next thing. It's always supporting the next moment. I couldn't breathe. And there was a moment in that which I felt like I didn't breathe for about 4 minutes in the session, in the journey. And I was completely kind of surprised. And then I felt like I was leaving my body again, and she coiled around me and squeezed me again. And then she said, "Why do you look stressed?" And I said, "Because I can't breathe." And she's like, "Well, what does that mean?" And I said, "Well, if I can't breathe, my heart doesn't beat, blood doesn't flow through my body, there's no oxygen getting into my brain, I'm dead." And she's like, "I love how you define that." She said, "You really think that it's your heart beating and your blood flowing through your body with the oxygen and your brain working that makes you here?"
Wow.
And I said, "Yes." She said, "If I pulled my spark from you, they could beat on your heart and it would still work. Your brain will be gone. If I pull my spark, there's nothing you can do, breathing or not, that will bring you back.
Wow.
But if my spark is inside of you, whether you breathe or not, doesn't matter.
Right.
You will be there as long as I see fit."
So you died 3 times, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So I was led down that path of understanding that even meditation is actually still a distraction, right? Because what I'm saying is that I'm overloading my circuits. I need to take a break. I got to unplug. Whoa, it's me. But that's just saying, so I'm saying I need to distance myself from myself in order to see myself, which is still separation.
Yeah.
Now, to be in a state of walking meditation where one is always constantly meditating with the heart, not the mind, where you're walking through life and you're understanding that everything is so close to who you are and what you love that you're never out of alignment, so you don't really get overwhelmed in order to have to take it back. Even if someone cuts you off, even if someone punched you in the face, this is where Jesus went, right? And you don't have to be an avatar to get there. You just have to be open. But most people aren't open. And to be open in order to see someone as yourself, that's a feat that most people will never actually find.
No.
Because you have to really, and you don't look for it, right? It's already there, but you have to, like, people, it's not something you're searching for because it is who you are. It just means people don't know who they are right now.
No.
So you can't really search for a lie. You can't search for something that's already exists, that's inside of you. It's like that phrase when they said, "Where would we hide man's soul?" I don't know, anywhere, the mountain, ocean, wherever he's going to look. Hide it inside of his chest.
Yeah.
He won't look there. So our answer, so our ability to be humble, our ability to find that love, our ability to be able to turn the other cheek, to be in the world and not of the world, is who we actually already are.
Yes.
All of us. Just like the planet is healed. The planet is completely fine and healed when we're not there. But when we're there as who we are, our reality, she's perfect. We're in unison. We're in unity. We work perfectly together. But when we're not there, but we place our physical form, but we're not in that state of unity, understanding who we really are, she's out of balance.
Yeah.
The body's out of balance. Virus, disease, all these things come into our field to kind of shake us back to seeing that. So that's why Catherine said cancer was actually my cure. While everybody was praying for a miracle, we missed the miracle that was already happening because of where she was, right? Because it wasn't the miracle we wanted.
Yeah.
But we couldn't recognize the miracle that was happening underneath our feet.
Wow.
Because everything has to be in a particular way, owned out of fear.
Yeah.
So if we had been able to recognize life and see life as a cycle and see life and love as bliss and know that this isn't the end, granted, pain is a horrific thing, but I think that her pain would have actually been less in some ways. The physical pain people can endure. It was the emotional pain of her feeling that she was letting people down that also compiled onto the cancer, which made it even worse.
Oh, yes. The
Right?
pain. Yeah, that's.
I mean, even think of some of the elderly people right now. I know that there's elderly people probably thinking, well, just leave me be. Don't worry about it. If I get corona, you live your life. Don't stop your economy because of me. I'm 80. I've already been here. I've done it. And then there's other 80-year-olds probably sitting there, well, what are you worried about me now for? You weren't worried about me last week. You weren't worried about me last year this time.
Yeah.
When I was walking down the street in the rain and my umbrella blew open and you didn't recognize me and opened the door for me, you just kept on taking your selfie. You didn't see me.
Pretty much.
Now you do, right? But now you see me because there's a sickness. See how cancer is the cure? I saw her because of the sickness.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that it takes a sickness. And this is Hanuman did the same thing. When he offered his heart and the deity said, I don't want it. And he's like, what? But I live to serve you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's nice. So and same with Ganesh, right? Ganesh, I have Ganesh on this side.
I was going to ask you about that too. So how did both of them come into your life, into your spirit?
Well, Ganesh has always been there. I think even like Ganesh, even when I was in Africa and I worked with elephants, and then Hanuman has always been kind of who I am when it comes to that monkey spirit. And I'm finishing this one. It's going to be the head of a jaguar here, huge cat.
Nice.
Yeah. Because what?
You badass.
Yeah. But even Ganesh is about universal ego, surrendering your own ego to universal ego. And it's understanding that where we're at right now is this beautiful place where we can bring order to chaos. And what does order look like? Order looks like understanding duality and being better, going above duality to be something brighter. Like the great mother did. She went above just being herself and gave everything. So if we could come to a place where we just gave everything of who we were, we will get through this easily, and we'll get on the other side of this and you won't recognize the planet at all. And that would be my hope. But it requires a lot of descaling.
Yeah, pretty much. We have a lot of shedding to do.
Yeah, and a lot of layers, and unfortunately most people aren't even looking at those layers because they're looking for people that are responsible for their life going so wrong.
Yeah, it's so easy to blame instead.
Yeah, it's much easier to blame other people than to really to take that accountability. And I don't like taking accountability. I mean, that was one thing that I resolved after ayahuasca. I mean, it sucks. It really sucks. I actually almost stopped my YouTube channel and everything. I mean, I literally was like, I'm just going to quit. And, I said to myself, well, I was going to quit my job and everything. And I said to myself, I remember even telling my mom, I said, you know what, after everything that I learned from ayahuasca, I'm not going to integrate back into my old life. I don't want any of it. I don't want my old life at all. And not that my old life was bad. It's just that anything that's even, it's like, think of it like a teeter-totter. It only takes that one little feather to fall on the shoulder that makes it that weight much greater, and then it's harder to maintain balance. So I looked at it that was just that final feather that fell onto my shoulder that put me off balance. And I was like, I'm not going to live that way. If I have to give my phone away, if I have to stop YouTube, if I have to just go live in a cave or whatever, I don't care, because I want to find that ability to appreciate things and to love things and to let go. And the funny thing is, as soon as I said that, the world stopped.
Wow.
It's not my fault though. I'm just saying, but it's kind of funny. I was like, I refuse to go back. I'm not going to integrate anymore. I draw the line in the sand. And I said, Mama, Gaia, I will not go forward. I'm not going to integrate into my old life. I want a new life. Oh. And then within 3 days, the world stopped and I had lost my job and everything was upside down.
Oh my God.
And I had no life to go back to.
A new one. So you're living in your new world now?
Well, I'm living in a world. I don't know that it's my new world, but yeah, I mean, it's any world. It's a great world because I'm about growth and about learning and about just sitting in stuff and purging, deleting a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Like Facebook, conspiracy, delete, 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 weird, delete.
Okay, just to wrap it up. Oh, I had two questions. Now I just don't. I can't decide which one I should go for now. How would you suggest or recommend people? Would you advise a lot of people to do ayahuasca, even though they're scared shitless, on what you've been through?
Well, I think being scared shitless is actually healthy.
Yeah, but for those who are very
if you weren't, and here's the thing, to not be scared, it shows you that you're going in with the wrong intention.
Oh yes. So
because you know, because think of it, it's not that you're scared of the boogeyman, it's that you're scared of the unknown, and that's a healthy fear to have, because for that moment at that moment right before you drink, and you're a little bit timid, right? Because you don't know what you're tackling, you don't know what you're getting ready to taste, and you're like I sipped it, I was like such a puss, I was like, oh man. And it made it so much worse, and you know, my Ayahuasca was laughing. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna wuss out right now. But I had a healthy fear of it, and I think that makes it serious. Not a fear of like, oh wait, I'm gonna end my life, etc. I went in understanding that even if I walked away as a spirit, my body fell beside, and I was no longer in my body, I was going to find my connection and answers.
Yeah, which you did.
I was willing to leave my body permanently in order to get there.
Oh, okay. So you're willing to give up your life?
Oh yeah.
Wow. Okay, that was
because what?
That was a lot of people in trying ayahuasca. Definitely, they simply do not want to die.
Well, it's but we're all dying, right? So, but I was just, what I was saying is that. And not necessarily, I mean, I was prepared to either way, because I had anxiety about certain things, right? Like, I mean, I was like, wow, I don't know what it does. I've read some things that are like not necessarily good. But when I sat down with it, I said, you know, whatever the medicine is, whatever will set me free, 100%, I'm willing to do that.
Oh, I love that. Free, yeah.
And I think that, so a healthy perception, it's a healthy respect, not necessarily scared or fear. And what it brings to you is that you're saying, this is unknown to me.
Mm-hmm.
Life is unknown to me. Even though I could plan for retirement and do all those other things, it's still unknown. So I'm literally, now what I'm doing is I'm actually getting into the real flow of life by trying something that I've never done, or trying something that is going to take me on a journey that I have no idea where it's going to go. So that would probably be one of the first times, other than when I was a child, that I felt that vulnerability where I'm just surrendering to something larger than myself.
Yeah.
Just surrendering, right? Because so many things in life happen so rapidly, like even like my near-death experiences. Mama Aya explained that to me. And I even said at one point, I was arguing with her in the session. I was like, I want to out. I don't want to go through this anymore. Like 3 hours in, I was like, I said, fuck this. I don't want to be in this. Like, just let me out. Let me out. How do I get out of this? And I remember even asking one of the practitioners, Patrick, I was like, Patrick, how do I get out of this? And he's like, just breathe. And then Mama said, she goes, well, your near death was like the preview to the coming movie. You're in the movie now.
Wow.
She said, you just saw the highlight clip. So now let's get in and see what everything's about. Yeah. And she would allow me to distract myself like we do in life. I would like go to Atlantis and sit, and I was like in Atlantis talking to Phil, and me and Phil were like buddied out in Atlantis. And then she'd squeeze me and bring me back, and I'd throw up in the bucket. And then I was like, what the hell? And she's like, okay, you had your fun. Let's heal. You're here to heal.
Wow. So
she'd let me play. She'd let me go and see these things. And then she would remind me of what my purpose was and the mission. There was at one point, she even dealt with my insecurities about feeling overweight and feeling ugly and feeling unattractive for so much of my life. I was she brought me back to reality. I puked in the bucket, and then I looked up and everybody was looking at me, laughing and pointing fingers. And I was like, and I put my head down and I was like starting to cry. And I was like, wow, it reminded me of like how I felt in middle school and how I felt as a sophomore in high school, when I would just get beaten up and just destroyed every day. And then she goes, this isn't them. This is you. Look again.
Wow.
And I looked up and no one was looking at me.
Yeah, no one was there.
Nobody was even looking at me. Nobody even cared. Everybody's throwing up in their own bucket. Nobody gave a shit. And I was like, and then I realized, I was like, wow, so I've been holding on to this the whole time.
Oh my gosh. Wow, all this time. But
And the thing is that all the ghosts that we go through, all the pain that we're suffering, all the patterns, we're holding on to them like they're like our last dollars.
but you've done so much shadow work and just so much healing. And
Yep.
that didn't occur to you up until you done ayahuasca.
Not to that level.
Wow.
I did so much work, so much shadow, dying and all these other things. But there is something that comes to you when, like Hanuman, when you surrender because you want to see someone else and you want to see yourself as them.
Yeah.
So when you come to that place and your intention is solely, I want my soul tribe, I want my spirit family, I want to be one with all things. I don't want to see separation in myself any longer. I've done all of this work, but there's still something, there's still a seed there that I can't see, and it's separate from what I need to heal. And I brought that intention very seriously, and she honored that. Everything on my intention list she brought to me.
Yeah. Wow.
And you know, and that's just how it moves. And I think for anyone that goes into it, you know, bring a weight with it for sure. I mean, it's not for the faint of heart. It's not for, I mean, to be a psychedelic astronaut is the same thing as like how many people want to go to Mars, right? How many people want to walk on the moon? How many people want to go in that plane that gives you no gravity? How many people are going to skydive? It's a select group of people, but I think the more people that approach it with sincerity, I think you'll see that it will begin to affect many people, right? It perhaps will even establish a herd immunity for being who we really are. Right. Well, if we have enough people that do something of that nature, that magnitude, where you can actually say to yourself, I didn't do anything. It was actually my spirit did everything. Right. Like on a physical platform, like everything about my spirit, I saw my spirit body. I saw the spirit grid. I saw the grid that goes above the earth. I saw the 13 people that were in my soul family centered with me, and got confirmation. And for many of those people that I came back with to tell them, hey, this is what mama told me to tell you, and this is why.
Wow. Amazing. Oh, thank you, Ryan. Thank you for sharing this. Wow, this is gonna change a lot of lives. Just added so much value to people's beliefs and what they actually feel, what they actually thought they felt. They may have reflect now and saying, yeah, it could be right. So
Yeah.
that would actually give me whiplashes. Is there anything else you would like to share before we wrap it up? Anything?
No, I think I've pretty much shared a lot.
You have. Thank you.
Yeah.
If people would wanting to contact you for your services, what's the best way for them to contact you? Is it by
not to to not contact me?
to contact you?
No, they don't. No,
I
they
would.
can contact you. And I know, but no, I'm not taking people. I mean, if somebody really, really wants me to work with them, they'll have to look for it.
Yeah, gotcha.
I'm not just going to give it out there. I don't want to work with anybody anymore that just like finds me.
Right.
I'm not here to, I mean, it's like, and not to be disrespectful, people are looking for help, but it's like, yeah. I mean, if there's a link in the bio and you put it there, that's fine. But I'm at a place now where, I mean, literally, like I said, I was going to quit everything that I was doing.
Yeah, they have to.
I was just going to go and write my books. Huh?
They have to really resonate with what you are vibing.
Right. And then, you know, honestly, I think before that, anybody that I would work with, there's so much that can do already just for even listening to this that they may not even need me anyway. So
I've shared lots of valuable contents there. That's for sure. That's still, my mind is still like marinating, it's seasoning now. I'm thinking, yeah, he has a point. It makes sense.
yeah.
Not only that,
You know, I mean, I'm trying to do like good with the virus, and like I'm helping people that I've been working with that needed stuff. So like I'm trying to like continue that, but I don't really care if I take new people on or not.
Yeah.
Anymore. I'm kind of, it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. It's kind of like,
I mean, it's like
Wayne Dyer now.
huh?
You're like Wayne Dyer.
Why?
He just shares and it's like, I'm done. I'm done my duties that I've been actually brought here to do. That's what he says, you know.
Yeah.
That's what his beliefs is. And it's like he just wants to give. There's no such thing as gaining. That's such a
Well, I just, you know, like I've got my next book that I'm working on, and I'm going to really focus on that.
okay.
I'm going to do more readings on my YouTube channel, but
Okay.
but like I'm not going to do personal readings for people. I'm just going to do them on my channel.
Nice. Okay, so you do personal readings?
No, I don't.
No, you don't anymore. You stopped that.
I did. I'm not going to do them anymore.
Okay. All right. All right.
Unless I change my mind in a major way. No, I'm just going to do general readings and do them on YouTube, and then I'll do like maybe like an extended reading for people as a group. But I think on a personal level, I mean, if I put together like something like a meditation or something, that's one thing. But coaching people for the most part, anybody that's reached out to me over the past couple of weeks, or that, you know, there's, because I lost space and time from being sick, but I think at this point I'm really just focusing on writing my book, and I don't know that beyond what I already do that I can give anything else to anybody that would make them different. So I mean, if they're not going to, I mean, you could listen to my video and learn so much. If you're not going to, I mean, I don't know that listening to me one-on-one, it could, maybe it's just where I'm at right now. I just don't feel that I'm going to, you know, unless it's an emergency and somebody needs somebody to talk to, then that's okay. But I don't really, I'm not seeking out a lot of new people to talk to.
Okay. When's your book going to be released?
Well, I'm not even done. I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
I'm like, it's just like probably like, it'll probably take me to August to finish it.
Okay. And what's your YouTube channel called? Is it Conscious Awakening?
Yeah, Conscious Awakening.
Perfect. Okay. I'm going to leave that.
You know what's interesting? Even I did like a couple of lives even on Instagram, and then it didn't allow me to save them.
Oh, it didn't allow you to save it. That's kind of odd.
Yeah. They don't want me to save that and repost it.
Normally you can though, isn't it? That's really odd.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it says they're monitoring what we talk about, I think.
So you were talking about coronavirus?
I was talking about a lot of it. Yeah. A lot of different things.
Wow. Conspiracy happening, obviously.
Well, it's not even necessarily a conspiracy. I think it's a control mechanism.
Precisely. Yeah. Oh my God. That's so
It's
scary.
just to control collateral damage. Huh?
That's scary. Like the truth needs to be heard, but they're shutting it down.
Yeah, I think because they don't even know what the truth is themselves, really.
No, they're kind of caging us in still.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Ryan,
Cool.
so much for being part of my guest, part of my show. Thank you again. Up until next
You're welcome.
time, we'll stay in
All
touch.
right.
Okay, thank you again.
All right. Au revoir.